The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas is a science fiction short story by Ursula K. Le Guin, set in a beautiful utopian city by the sea called Omelas, celebrating a summer festival that is held every year. Music fills the air, people are found dancing and running around barefoot, and children compete against each other in a horse race. Le Guin makes it very apparent how happy and carefree the people of Omelas are. Though they may seem simple-minded, the author insists that these people are very complex. She proves this by revealing that this perfect little city has a big secret. In a room under the city, there is a young child around the age of 10. It sits in the dark by itself, half-starved, naked, cold, and afraid. This child is the reason that Omelas prospers. In exchange for its pain and suffering, the people of Omelas get to live happy lives without negativity or instability. Does everybody know about the child? Yes, most do. Once the children of the city of Omelas are old enough to understand, they are taken to see the child. Many of the initial emotions felt when seeing the child include shock, disgust, anger, or a need to help the child. But even if a single word is uttered to the child, the bargain is reverted. So most people deal with their emotions and accept that this is the way that things must be. The ones who cannot accept this horrible act of injustice do not go back home. They walk out through the splendid gates that mark the entrance of Omelas, towards the neighboring mountains, never to be seen again.
The ones who walk away from Omelas. Interpretive analysis. Now that you've heard sort of the summary of Omelas, I'm here to put you in layman's terms. Picture this. Any human being knows that the best way to understand a deep, meaningful article is through food. Now, you are a person obsessed with cake. All different kinds, because who just wants to eat one cake for the rest of their life? You have strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, all the cake, you can name it. But your family and friends are getting concerned with your health. I mean, diabetes and obesity is a thing in America these days. They recommend for you to find a solution. Solution 1, you ignore all their stupidness because all they're doing is calling you fat and you're happy with your body, because who wouldn't be? All that blubber and, sweat makes you glisten. So you can ignore them and shun all the haters, and you might end up on my 600-pound life. But hey, you get to eat cake and you're happy. Part 2, you can choose to run away from cake. Have a fear of it. Don't eat it ever again. Stick to kale or spinach, because you're not getting any younger, and I don't think you want to be wheeled up the stairs. But option 2, you're just not dealing with your fear. You're being irrational, and it's probably not going to work out, because addiction is a real thing, even if it's to cake. Option 3, you can compromise with yourself and your body by having your cake and eating it too. Maybe just not the whole cake, because, that's really gross if you can eat a whole cake. If you choose option 3, you're benefiting yourself and you're making a smart choice, because, let's be honest, who doesn't want to love cake?
And with that wonderful cake analogy, we're going to use it to relate to the following quotes that portray the ethical themes of the story. Quote number 1. The trouble is that we have a bad habit, encouraged by pedants and sophisticates, of considering happiness as something rather stupid. Only pain is intellectual, only evil interesting. This quote describes a theme that changes the plot of the story significantly. The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas' first half depicts only the happiness of the citizens. If the story had continued that way, us, as the reader, would quickly get bored and lose interest of the story. But once you add a problem into the story, whether that is caused by grief, frustration, humiliation, or terror, all of a sudden the story is intriguing, as it is in real life. Pain and evil creates depth and complexity. Why do you think people have a fascination with things like war, nightmares, or even a huge traumatic event like the Holocaust? This is part of human nature. Without suffering and pain, there is not many ways to learn how to get closer to happiness. One cannot have one without the other. This quote exemplifies the main ethical conflict of the ones who walk away from Omelas. Just like in the cake analogy, most people use the ignore or flight method, also known as eating the cake or completely stop eating the cake, just because it's easier. But just because this is easier, it does not make it right by any means. In the story's case, the people either conform or they walk away from the problem. Nobody even considers sacrificing their happiness for the child's opportunity at happiness. This then displays the selfishness of the people of Omelas. Not only is this true, but it even creates a sort of fake happiness. With the knowledge of the child's suffering, it is hard to be truly happy. Quote number 3. Yet it is their tears and anger, the trying of their generosity and the acceptance of their helplessness, which are perhaps the true source of the splendor of their lives. You can ask countless people and find that most people feel genuinely content when they are able to empathize with someone or help others. When they are faced with the tragedy that is the child, they feel its pain, its hurt, its sadness. And that connection that they make with the child, that is what makes them a little more human. That is what makes them realize that this is a true emotion, not the fake happiness that is thrust upon them since a young age. This experience is one that may cause someone to change, possibly for the better. But it's up to that individual to make the decision of whether they would like to change that child's life. But is the happiness of that one child worth taking the happiness of many others?